meeting options. So first the people. Okay. So now attendees, they cannot use cameras and microphones. So Hazuki, when we start, I can let people bypass the lobby, right? Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, exactly. At 1, you can let them in, and then I think more people will join in. So I'll wait for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then yeah, we can start. And when all the documents are on the website already?
Yes, they're on the website. Yeah, our 2 presentations. I cut this presentation to 2 parts and upload them.
Okay, great.
Okay, we can let people in, I think.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We will wait for a few more minutes and we will start the webinar. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining into our Access to Space for All Payload Hosting Initiative PHI programs, second round announcement of opportunity webinar. We are very excited to have you all here. We have a lot to cover today, so yeah, we'll start the webinar now. So first of all, before we begin, I just want to point out a few things. The first one is to please use the chat box to ask any questions. Please do not raise your hand. We will not let the camera or the microphone on for the participants, but any questions that you may have, comments, please read them. Please put them in the chat box and we will address them at the end when we have our Q&A session. Second of all, please answer our questionnaire form that we will be putting in the chat box later on. Me or my colleague Wenben, we will be active in the chat, putting URLs and links that will be useful for you. So make sure to answer our questionnaire form before you leave. We really want to hear your feedback on our webinars. And third, last but not least, if you are on social media, please use the hashtag Access to Space for All and PHI, and follow, like, and share UNUSA to help us promote this event. We're active on Twitter /X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And of course, our colleagues at MBRSC are active on social media too. So please post and tag them as well. So today's agenda looks like this. We will start off with an introduction to the Access to Space for All initiative by my colleague Wenben. After that, I will give the floor to MBRSC, to our colleague Mehta, who will be giving you an introduction to MBRSC and the PHI program. And after that, we will be diving into the details of the announcement of opportunity. We will be explaining about the announcement of opportunity document and the application form. And after that, Mehta will take the floor to explain about the PHI platform user guide, which is a very important document that you will all need to read if you're going to apply for this opportunity. And then at the end, we will have the Q&A. This is your time to ask us any questions that you may have, especially if you have any technical questions about the PHI platform. Mehta is here to answer all of your questions. If there's any administrative questions you may have, my colleague Wenben and I are here to answer any of those as well. So with this, I'd like to give the floor to my colleague Wenben, who will be giving you an intro of the Access to Space for All initiative. So yeah, Wenben, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Hazuki. Let me take the control. Yes. Okay. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Whenever you're from, we're from the. We are starting from this Access to Space for All introduction. So the goal of this initiative is to provide research and orbital opportunities for your member states to access space and to ensure that the benefits of space, in particular for sustainable development, and truly accessible to all. And we have been introduced this slides for many times, and in every of our webinars, I'm sure that most of you understand this initiative a lot, but I'm still trying to remind that we have 5 important things we want you to know that the Access to Space for All initiative. So first is we're trying to give this cutting edge skill for jobs and other opportunities, and develop the hands-on capacities to all of you from the developing nations or from the member states of the United Nations. And the second one is all the opportunities under this initiative is free of charge. So so basically we are providing the cutting edge skills to let you to enter the laboratory or to launch your satellite, and make or also the fellowships programs under this initiative. So these are free of charge. And the third one is a good opportunity that let the participants to gain the international cooperation experience through the working with the UN and the spacefaring partners. We say the partners, you can see from the right-hand side, we have partners like JAXA, like ESA, and NASA, and also the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centers today. Yes, so you can make your connections with those agencies and to explore your space journey starting from this point. And the fourth one is the visibility to the research and development and the space activities already done in the country and regions. And last but not least, the last one is motivated the young generation and boost the interest in STEM education. And under the Access to Space for All initiative, we have 9 hands-on opportunities and 1 annual fellowship. And now we already have 32 awardees involving 44 entities from 32 countries. Through this initiative, we launched 5 CubeSats through the KiboCube opportunity, and we conducted 7 microgravity experiment and 2 hypergravity experiment through the cooperation with ZARM, the German microgravity space research center, and the ESA ASTEC. And we have more than 80 hours education content on YouTube. So you can visit our YouTube channel to watch all these videos. The most important thing that we contribute to the SDG, so the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and the most 3 common one is the SDG 4, quality education, SDG 8, decent work and economic, and the SDG 9, the innovation, industry, and the infrastructure. So with these SDGs, that we ask our applicants to make their link between their project and SDGs, and we see many impacts from their project. So because we have a lot to cover this today, so I just make one example here, that one of our KiboCube awardees, they, according to this KiboCube opportunity, they launched their first satellite in Guatemala, and then they get more support from the government and from the universities, and now they have their own laboratory at their university. The next one I'd like to introduce is our structure. This is the structure of this Access to Space for initiative. So the left-hand side is our hands-on opportunity. So we have 3 tracks. The first one is hypergravity and microgravity track. Second one is satellite development track. And the third one is a space exploration track. So we would like to provide our opportunities according to this 3 tracks, and from the Earth to the space, and from the simple like CanSat and the payload to their CubeSat, or from the low Earth orbit opportunities to the deep space opportunities. And also we have education content on the right-hand side. So now we are cooperating with NASA to provide this systems engineering webinar series. The first webinar will be held this afternoon, and the content will be made available later on our website. And also we have the fellowship, PNST. The 2024 round will be open later this year. And also, yeah, so this is the payload hosting initiative today. So this is the partnership. We are partnering with MBRC and to establish this opportunity in 2021. So this opportunity is to provide opportunity to hosting a payload, hosting 1 or 2 payloads up to 5U on their 12U 5-module satellite platform. So in this round, we will select up to 2 awardees, and each of them, they can provide a payload with maximum size of 3U, and the maximum combined size of the 2 payloads to be selected will be 5U. So we announced these opportunities last month during the IEC in Azerbaijan. And in the first round, we selected 2 awardees from Bahrain and from Nepal. So the Bahrain National Space Science Agency, they will test the communication between the satellite and the ground station. And the other team from Nepal, they will study the operation of a middleware for drones in space. So yeah, we created a dedicated web page for each of our awardees. So you can find those information from our website. So from the Access to Spacewalk main website, so you can find the button on top. It's a awardee button, and through that button you can go to our awardees page. So through this awardees page, you can read more stories and their publications and the events they hold regarding to participating this Access to Spacewalk opportunities. Also, there is a QR code. You can scan this QR code to it will directly guide you to those awardees page. So with those information, I will stop here and to give the floor to our colleagues from MBRC, Maisa, and she will give you more information about this PHI opportunity.
Thank you, Wanban. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Meta Ahmed Sharif from Mohammed Rashid Space Center. I'm very happy to be a part of this webinar today. I would like to welcome you all to this webinar, and I would like also to thank UNOSA team for organizing such an event to involve everyone in PHI-2 opportunity. So allow me to share with you before we dive into PHI-2 a short interesting video about MBRC missions and accomplishment.
سعيد وفخور بأن أكون أول شخص من دولة الإمارات من الوطن العربي يكلمكم باللغة العربية من محطة الفضاء الدولية.
So along with the accomplished project in the video, Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center also assigned an MOU with the UNOSA back in 2021 to give the chance for all developing countries to fly to space and test their innovative payloads in space. So in this webinar, we will give you the chance to explore more about PHI program and initiative and answer all your questions. And we are very excited to receive the different proposals and innovative ideas for PHI-2 missions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mehmet, for the very informative video about MBRC and its activities. It's always amazing to see how fast the development was, but also the amazing achievements that are happening in UAE. And now with our cooperation, we're very happy to open the second round and talk about the actual PHI program. So I'd like to invite to the floor my colleague Wenbin again. He will be really diving into the specific details of how to fill in the application form so that you can be selected and be part of this space journey. So Wenbin, if you can share your screen again and talk about the details of the announcement of opportunity. While Wenbin is sharing the screen, I just want to say I have posted a few links in the chat about where you can find information on access to Space for All and PHI. I also just want to mention that today's presentation materials are already on the website. You can download it from there, and all the documents that we will be talking about, such as announcement of opportunity document, the application form, the PHI platform user guide is already on the rounds page as well. Okay, then yeah, I see Wenbin is sharing the screen, so I will give him the floor.
All right, thank you, Hazuki. Thank you, Maisa, for your gorgeous video. And let's come back to our webpage. So now we are back to access to Space for All main webpage. So I will guide you how to find those PHI application documents. So first, please use the link that my colleague Hazuki already shared in the chat box and follow me for this long journey. We have 2 documents to cover, the announcement of opportunity and also the application form. So it will be a long procedure. So yes, so through this our main page, so you can find the button on top, the satellite development track. And if you click that, it will guide you to the track. And then you can find the PHI button under the hands-on component. And then if you click the PHI, it will take you to the PHI page. Then you have to scroll down to find the rounds page. And the rounds, you can click the image or the read more button below the paragraphs. And then when you go to the payload hosting initiative rounds page, you can find the important information and document there. So first, I would like to mention that the deadline for submitting your application form is 31st March next year. So the last day of March next year. So basically you have from today, you have 5 months to prepare your application form. So the most important thing I have to mention is first you have to read all the documents on this webpage. And yes, you can ask questions today or you can send them to us by email. And then I highly recommend you to watch the related webinars, including the past PHI webinars and also the KiboCube Academy webinars, because the KiboCube Academy webinars, is here. It's something that online education series that aims to provide theoretical knowledge to develop, to operate and utilize small satellite, and it also applies to the payload development. So yes, so you can watch all these KiboCube webinars, KiboCube Academy webinars on our webpage and also on our YouTube channel. So let me back to this PHI timetable. So the first thing I would like to introduce is the timetable of the PHI opportunity. So now we are here, the November 1st. We have this webinar, and we will have 5 months. This 5 months to prepare your application form, and please remember to submit your application form by the 31st of March 2024. And in 1 month, we will do the selection rework. We will evaluate all these application forms, and we will notify of the shortlist applicants. And then we may ask you to provide more details regarding your payloads or more information. And so by 31st of May, you have to submit those additional information, and then we will inform the awardees in June 2024. And then you will have like a 1-year period to development your payload, and the handover transportation is scheduled now as July 2025. And the launch will be early 2026. And after that, you have to prepare some report regarding the development and also report regarding the operation of the payloads. And this is the last phase, is the reporting phase. And through this long 1.5 year phase, you will have time to do some outreach and publication work. It's also a good opportunity to advertise your project and advertise your institute. Okay, so let's go to the announcement of opportunity document. So the most important things is the eligibility criteria, is that who can apply to this opportunity. So actually this opportunity is open to people that are located in developing economies and economies in transition. When we talk about developing economies and the economy in transition, we refer to this here in the red circle, the World Economic and Situation Prospects, published by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The link is here, and you can check whether your country is in the list. And also the entities, including the government organizations and the research institute, universities, and the public organization, and also some private sectors, if they meet the criteria here, they can apply to this opportunity. So, and also, if your entity is not in the developing economies and economies in transition, also you can try to cooperate with the other entities that are located in developing economies. To do that, your organization will be external entities that support the entities in the developing economies and economy in transition to develop the payload together. And next one is our selection criteria. So basically we have 4 big selection criteria. The first is the scientific and technical feasibility of the payload. And second is the team composition. And the third one is the feasibility of the payload and some technical aspect. And the last one is outreach. So I won't read them all today, but please read all our documents carefully, so to see whether how we evaluate those application forms. And the next one is the roles and responsibilities of the team, and also for the people, for someone that you want to understand your responsibility. Please go through this document. So first, you have to submit all this document, and you have to design and also provide information for radio frequency coordination. And also, you have to implement and prepare the reviews with the MBRIC. And also, you have to attend the technical coordination meeting and deliver the payload to MBRIC. So those are the things that you have to do. And MBRIC will be responsible for provide the platform and the launch the CubeSat, the 12U CubeSat, and also MBRIC will provide the ground station, and they can you can use MBRIC will use their ground station to receive the data from the CubeSat, and then you will receive the data of your payload from MBRIC side. And also we have some terms and conditions. So yeah, please go through this document carefully. Yes, and so in this part, the awardees will enter into an agreement with MBRIC. After that, we announce the awardees. So basically, you have to sign an agreement bilaterally between your entities with MBRIC. This agreement will be prepared by MBRIC, and they will send to your entities. And please review the if you are selected, please review those agreement and to sign this agreement. So this is basically agreement between you and MBRIC. So it will define more your roles and responsibilities in this agreement. And also, MBRC will not cover any insurance related to the payload, and they will cover only the third-party liability for this mission. So you have to consider your insurance thing. Okay, so yeah, the announcement of opportunity document is quite detailed, and please go through the document very carefully so you can understand how to prepare your and how to prepare your document. And for this application form, it's a long document, so I will guide you step by step that how to prepare your application form. So first, the chapter 1 is the team composition. So you have to prepare your project title and a short exclusive summary. It's not no more than 150 words. And also, you have to prepare a certificate from your entity. And also, I have to mention, we need also another document, which is called letter of endorsement from each applying entity. So if your application is from different entities together to form a consortium or from a team from different entities, so we need letter of endorsement from each of the applying entity. And for the executive summary, it's just a simple summary that to summarize 4 things. Maybe the first one is why you choose to develop this payload and what are the expected outcome, and why your payload is unique, and also your plan. So you can find those you will prepare those information later in this document. So I would suggest that you prepare the following part, and then you will summarize those things from your application form to prepare this summary. Okay, so the next part will be the team composition. So first you have to describe whether you have a cooperation with the other entities. It's optional, but so if you apply as a one entity, you don't have to prepare this part. And we need information for the project coordinator and also the information from team members and the short CV from each team members. And please note that all team members must belong to applying organizations that are eligible, as I mentioned in the announcement of opportunity document, that each team member must be eligible entity. So if you have some cooperation with the entities that in the developed country, so they have to be your external support. So in the 2.4 part, so if you have support during the project from external organizations or individuals, please list them there. And the one thing I had to mention that we encourage inclusive teams, means we would like to see more females for people, to be your team members. And also maybe people with disabilities that we are encouraging the inclusive teams. So the next part will be the technical abstract. So it's different from the executive summary. So in this part, please clearly and concisely describe the technical part of your payload, including the objectives, the scientific or technical values, and the overview of the design. So please note the technical abstract should like a mini proposal, which means through this abstract, we can understand, and you should be answer several questions. I listed on the right-hand side that what your payload aims to do and what kind of a value will it bring, and also the overview of the design. And it's like what your payload looks like. So this part is a maximum 300 words, so not very long, but longer than the executive summary. So the chapter 4 will be the mission objectives and requirements. The first one is a mission statement. So please include a mission statement, like 1 or 2 sentences, and how to the development and the launch of this payload could contribute to capacity building in your country. And the 4.2 is the mission objectives. So for mission objectives, yeah, we recommend that you go through this KiboCube Academy on-site event. We hold it last month in Baku. So this is the introduction. There's one part in this document is the introduction to mission definition. So first, the mission definition is the very first thing when you design a satellite or a payload. So the mission objectives is the first thing come from the user requirements and also the constraints. And with this mission objectives, you can work on those objectives and have your mission requirements. And then after, you will have the system requirements for orbit or for power, size, mass. The configuration, the operation, etc. And then you will have your subsystem requirements like thermal requirements, power distribution, communications. So this is a kind of a design process of a satellite or a payload. So in this case, MBRC will take care. So in this case, MBRC will take care of the platform and the CubeSat platform. So the only thing you have to take care is the payload itself and the interface between the payload and the platform. So when you define a mission objectives, please use the SMART criteria. The SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bounded to define your mission objectives. And next one is the foreseen outcomes and deliverables. It will simple because you already defined your mission objectives. So through the mission objective, you can summarize the foreseen outcomes and deliverables of this payload mission. And the next one is the novelty and the uniqueness. So we ask applying team to describe why your proposed payload is new and unique. Because this opportunity will encourage that innovative payloads and also the payload that can help the capacity building in your country. So from this picture, you can see there are many types of the payloads. So why your payloads is unique, and yeah, so why we give this opportunity to your team but not other teams. So you have to specify in this part. The next part will be the mission requirements. As I described in the previous slides. So the mission requirements will be defined after the mission objectives. So mission requirements, according to the European Cooperation for Spacecraft Standard, is requirements related to a task, a function, a constraint, or an action induced by the mission scenario. So please insert a list of requirements needed to accomplish the mission objectives. Yeah, and for example, if your payload take the image of maybe Austria, we located in Austria, and like maybe 3 times a day with a definition of resolution like 10 meters resolution. Yeah, it will be one example for the mission requirements. And next one will be the design requirements. So design requirements goes after the mission requirements. So after you have defined the mission requirements, the design requirements will help you to accurate your design parameters. These requirements related to the imposed design and constraint standards, such as the design standard and the selection list of the component or materials, and interchangeability, safety, or margins. So also, you have to check the PHI platform user guide to see the constraints from the platform. The next one will be the operational requirements. So these requirements are the requirements related to the system operability. So we recommend that you to check out the KiboCube Academy pre-recorded on-demand lecture 17, the introduction to CubeSat operation and ground system. So I hope that this document can help you to understand more about the satellite operations, and you can prepare your operational requirements. Okay, the next chapter will be the payload specifications and detailed description. So in this part, you can use the graph and the tables to explain the main specifications. Please let us know what your proposed equipment looks like, and the weight, and also the maximum dimensions of the of your payload. And please note, if your payload included a deployable unit, please consider the maximum dimensions of the payload. And for the PHI-2 program, MBRC will offer a 5U capacity for payloads, but please read the user guide and carefully, because even though the each payload could be 3U maximum, but a 3U payload, long payload, cannot fit the platform, because you can see the layout through the user guide. Okay, and also in this part, please provide the 3D view and also the external dimensions of your payload. And 5.2 will be the payload block diagram and the list of a component. So yes, so the payload block diagram is to help us and help you also to understand what the structure of your payload and what the list of components you have to prepare, and help us to understand the safety and other issues regarding your payload. And so the list of components, please provide a list of that up to the lowest level available, and as much knowledge that as you can provide. I understand that at this stage it might be hard to provide a very detailed list of components, but please provide as much as you can. And also a product breakdown structure will be highly appreciated. So the next part will be the description of the interface. So yes, in this picture, you can see that the satellite has many subsystems, and in middle, the payload subsystem is the most important thing that you have to develop, and you have to communicate with the platform. So that's why the interface is important. So we recommend that you to check out the KiboCube Academy lecture 18, that introduction to the CubeSat payload system there. And through the picture on the right-hand side, you can see there are, so in the mission subsystems, it's like a payload subsystem. You will exchange the data and from the onboard computer, and also you will need the power from the bus. So everything you have to explain in the interfaces. So the first one you have to prepare is the mechanical interface. So this part, we recommend you to check the KiboCube Academy lecture 11, Introduction to Nanosite Technologies. And also, the most important thing, you have to read the user's guide. 4.6 mechanical interface. So through that part, I think my colleague Maisa from the MBRC, she will introduce later more detail. And but you have to read this part and to check whether your payload can meet the requirements from the interface requirements. And also for the electrical interface, you have to check the 4.1 electrical power interface, and also the 4.2, the grounding interface. Yes, next part will be the thermal interface. So for this one, we recommend you to read the lecture 13, the thermal control system. It's an introduction to the CubeSat thermal control system, but it also applicable for payload, because if your payload, you want to develop the thermal control system within your payloads, you have to understand the knowledge. So please go through this lecture and to understand more about the thermal control system. And also for the user guide, you have to refer to the 4.7 part, the thermal interface. And for the next part, the command and data handling interface, you have to read the data interface, the 4.3. So yes. And the next part will be the payload design. So the last part is to introduce the interface between the payload and the platform. And this part will be more specific to what is your payload look like inside your payload. So the first one is the payload structure and the mechanical subsystems. So yes, so through these opportunities, so MBRC, they provide the platform and they can support the chips or also the mechanical box. So if you are going to design a mechanical box, you have to design your structure and mechanical subsystem inside your payload. Yes, so please provide as much detail as possible. Please provide a 3D drawing and a stat file. And also please include also an expanded view. The expanded view is exactly the right-hand side there. And second part is the payload electronic power scheme and power duty circle. Cycle information. So in this part, please indicate how the power is distributed among your payload, and also indicate the power duty cycle, average power, peak power, and the typical operation cycle. And the next part will be the payload thermal subsystems. Yes, as I mentioned before, if your payload will use like active or passive thermal control system inside your payload, please prepare the information. And also, yes, the next part will be the communication subsystem. This part you can see is optional. So for optional, it's only applicable if your payload is a communication payload. So you have to prepare the list of components and the description of the communication system. Yes. So also the next part will be the payload command and data handling system. For this part, please check the lecture number 10, the introduction to CubeSat command and data handling system. And also for next part is AOCS. So please read the lecture number 14, the introduction to CubeSat altitude control system. And the 5.2.4.6 AOCS part is optional. It's only applicable in case your payload is an ADCS. And as well as the next two part, the propulsion and the orbiting subsystem and the additional technical features of the payloads. If those items applicable to your payloads, please include the information as much as possible. Okay, the next part will be the concept of operation. So this part, back to our mandatory part. Okay, so yes, please insert a description of how the payload will be operated. For example, the operation constraints, operations only during the illuminated or the dark area, or when passing over certain regions of the Earth, like your country, and also type of the operations, like autonomous operations or controlled operations. Yes, so this is your concept of operations. And the communication links is an optional part. It's only applicable in case the payload is a communication payload. So the ground segment, as I mentioned before, so the MBRC, they will provide a ground facility to communicate from the Earth to the satellite. And so please indicate that how MBRC ground segment is intended to be interfaced with you. And please refer to the 5 platform user guide. So the if you need more information regarding the ground segment and ground station, please yes, please read this user guide 5.0, right? And next part will be the safety part. Okay, the safety part is the most important part for develop a satellite and develop a payload. So please refer to the user guide 6.0, safety and quality, and to include any relevant information regarding the safety considerations. The safety part will be a little bit complicated, so I highly recommend you to read the lectures, KiboCube Academy number 5 and number 6, the introduction to safety review process, and also the CubeSat design for safety requirements. And next part is the technical heritage. It's an optional part. So please include any previous related work if you have done before, and any relevant scientific and engineering background supporting your experiment. The chapter 6 is assembly, integration, and testing. So in this part, we need your team to describe the facilities and that your entities have the access to. So first one is the assembly facilities, and the second one is the testing facilities. For assembly facilities, it could be a laboratory in your universities that have the condition that can provide a clean room conditions. And also the test facilities may be a little difficult because it contains thermal vacuum chamber, and also the vibration test facilities, and also so for those part, please read the lecture 15 and 19. So introduction to CubeSat system integration and electro testing, and also the introduction to satellite testing. And so if your institute, your entity don't have the access to those facilities, or if you want to through the external cooperation to provide access to those facilities, please also provide the letters from other institutions that authorizing the use of their facilities. So the next part will be the verification plan, and a verification plan for the mission requirements and the design requirements, and also for the operational requirements. So for those parts, you have to explain that how you will test your payload against those mission requirements. Please, the first part refer to the mission requirements, the second part refer to the design requirements, and the last part refer to the operational requirements. So you have to explain that how you're gonna test, and to prove that your design is meet your design requirements. And the next part is the planning. So for this part, it's basically the schedule things. So please provide a schedule of the development phase of your payload, including the milestones and also the pass-fail criteria for each one. Include the milestones described in the announcement of opportunity document and any other intermediate milestone that is needed. And also please note that the numbers and the schedule of the reviews shall be agreed with MBRC. So you will have to conduct the PDR and CDR with MBRC together. So yeah, and also a Gantt chart and a description shall be included in this part. And we recommend you to read the lecture number 3, the overview of the project management of a satellite development. And the next part will be the breakdown structure. So this part, this WBS is to help you to understand the small tasks that you have to prepare and you have to perform and to finish your final development phase. So WBS is based on the order of the tasks that must be completed to eventually arrive the final product. So yeah, please include this part in your application form. And next one will be the operations schedule. So for this part, although at this stage, it might be difficult to provide a complete schedule for the operations, please provide as much details as possible. And also a Gantt chart in this, and the description of the Gantt chart shall be included in this part. So the operation schedule will can be like manned operations or unmanned operations. So you have to schedule your operations. And also this part is an end of life schedule. It's an optional part. It might be difficult to provide at this stage, but if you can provide, yes, please provide a Gantt chart and the description of this end of life schedule. Okay, the next part will be the budget part. Is quite important part. So please provide information on the cost, including the price of the parts, personnel cost, and the facility cost if applicable, and operation cost, and the travel expense, and also the shipment of the payload, and the cost for the dissemination and outreach. So basically everything you have to prepare. So, and also after this budget plan, we ask you to prepare the budget source and the expanded budget source. So as a picture on the right hand side, if you have like maybe 25 from the college and maybe 20 from the external support and maybe 15 from crowdfunding. So something like this, you have to show to us and MBRC that you have the funding to perform the development of your payload. And the next part will be the transportation to UAE. So so this part, you will have to understand that it's your responsibility to ship your payload from your country to UAE, and the handover is usually taking place in the MBRC, which is located in Dubai in UAE. So I have to say that sending equipment or sending a payload is more complicated than you think. So you have to check the custom and export control regulations for both your country and UAE. And you have to know what documents do you need to prepare and how long the process will take. So yeah, one last sentence to give your suggestion: plan the shipment in advance and plan also the transportation plan in the application form. Okay, So next chart will be the licensing and compliance with the international guidelines and regulations. This part is optional, so only if applicable if your payload is a communication payload or your payload will provide information concerning the license to be requested. So yeah, so for this part, we have conducted one webinar in September. So please check out the International Communications Union's website, and also to check our KiboCube regulatory webinar at the link in this page. So the next part will be the feasibility and the risk analysis. So in the 11.1, the feasibility analysis, please provide the arguments on the feasibility of your projects that to show us that you have the ability to develop your payload and it will be achieved on time is very important. And including the research and technical base, maturity of the project, and also availability of necessary resources on the ground and the technical condition that could be capitalized on. And also the next part will be the risk analysis. So this part I would like to introduce as the risk analysis matrix. It's very common tool, and please use this matrix to describe the risks that you may face. This should include the technical risks, for example, the component and your design, and also the planning risks and also the budget risks. Yeah. So please brainstorm and find out every risk that may occur and may affect your development of the payload. Okay, the last part, is the communication and dissemination plan. So this part is to ask the applicant teams to provide the plan that will be used to promote the experiment or your payload and its resource, as well as the communication toward the general public. So those activities shall be organized within your country. And for this part, we have conducted one session in the Access to Spaceport Initiative expert meeting May this year. So the session 4, effective outreach. So we have more few presentations on successful examples and discussion on how to conduct effective outreach activities. So please visit our expert meeting webpage. And to summarize a few things, the first one is what kind of outreach activities you would do to enhance your outcomes of the project. And the second one is who is your target audience? And third one is what is the time frame for the different outreach activities you have planned? And next one is the what resources and platforms will you use? And the next part is the relevance to the Sustainable Development Goals. So as the United Nations office, and we ask applicants to describe the relevance between your project and the SDGs. So space technology and the space applications are critical to supporting the 2030 agenda on sustainable development. And our initiative also attach importance to promoting the links between the our activities and the SDGs, especially the SDG 4, SDG 8, and SDG 9. But under the 17 SDG goals, there are like 169 targets described in detail what objectives are expected to be achieved. So please visit the Sustainable Development Goals website to read more information. Okay, so I finished my part in like 40 minutes. Good job.
Thank you
So
very
I will
much,
give.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
I believe that was a lot of information for all of you, but as I posted, all the documents are on the webpage, so please have a look. I'd like to invite to the floor Mehta again, who will be describing a bit more in detail about the PHI platform user guide, which is the really important document that you will all need to read to understand, what kind of payload that you can actually propose to us. So I give the floor to Mehta.
Thank you, Hazuki, and thank you, Wenbin, for the detailed description of the application form. I saw that there are too many questions related to the PHI platform user guide, so I hope my presentation will answer and clarify the related points. So at the beginning, I want to highlight that MBRSC will be responsible for developing the spacecraft bus, while the selected or hosted payload will be responsible for designing, manufacturing, and providing a well-tested payload to MBRSC to be integrated with the platform and launched. So this user guide explains the spacecraft design bus. The bus is designed to be modular by providing multiple power interfaces, multiple data and communication interfaces with the payload, and also a modular mechanical structure to host the payload in different forms and orientation. So here is the architecture of the spacecraft bus. It includes...
Sorry, Mehta, I only see the first screen. I only see the title page. I don't know if this is just for me. Can you try resharing your screen because it looks like it's frozen?
Okay, let me try to share again.
I will put in the chat again the link to the platform user guide, but I hope everyone sees it. Yes, I think it's better. Yeah. Okay. It's working.
So this is the architecture of the spacecraft bus, the PHI platform. It has a multiple subsystem. Mainly the onboard computer, which is a centralized onboard computer connected to all subsystems and the payloads as well. We have the electrical power subsystem with the power conditioning and distribution system to provide power to the subsystems and payloads. We have two communication subsystems here, the UHF-VHF subsystem for TT&C and S-band communication subsystem for downloading large file or size of data, mainly payload data. And we have a standalone ADCS system to control the attitude and orientation of the satellite according to our operation. So moving to the general specification of the mission. The mission will be designed for a lifetime of 1 year in sun-synchronous orbit in altitude ranging between 500 to 600 kilometers. This will be defined specifically once the payloads are selected depending on the payload operation and requirement, and also depending on the launcher selected. The satellite mass is 18 kg and the power generation is 38 watt, and the bus voltage is 14.8, which will be also regulated to specific voltages needed by each subsystem. We have two communication subsystem bands as I specified earlier, UHF, VHF, and S-band. The downlink data rate for TT&C of UHF VHF is 9.6 kbps, and the S-band can reach to Mbps. For the control accuracy, we are providing 5 degree, and the data interfaces provided by the platform is I2C, CAN, UART, and SPI. So moving to the first section in the satellite bus design, which is the electrical power interface. PHI electrical power subsystem is designed by Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. It provides unregulated voltage rail of 13 volt to 16.4 volt. And also it provides regulated lines up to 3 ampere with output voltages of 3.3 volt, 5 volt, and 12 volt. These lines are switchable power lines that can be controlled by the OBC depending on the operation, and it has overcurrent and over voltage protection as well. The interface between the electrical power subsystem and the payload can be through a stacking connector, which is the standard form used in CubeSat design, PC104. Also, it can be connected through auxiliary connector, depending on the payload if it is not a 1U CubeSat standard. So we are providing or allocating a power consumption for the payload up to 30 watt for 20 minutes approximately. If any payload requires more power, we can discuss with them later by decreasing the operation duration or the duty cycle. The grounding interface scheme used for PHI mission is a star grounding scheme with no isolation and ground as a secondary ground. So the payload is responsible to isolate their ground if the payload is a sensitive subsystem. For the data interface, so we are providing multiple data interfaces to ensure a modularity with the hosted payload. So we have I2C, which is a common used bus and CubeSat mission. The pull-up resistor for I2C connection will be added in OBC side, spacecraft side, so no need to be added in payload design. Next, we have SPI connection if it's needed by the payload for any data transmission. Also, we are providing a CAN interface. The same requirement here is used for CAN, as the termination resistor is added from OBC side, no need to be added in payload side. We are providing also a CSP over CAN protocol here to allow for the interface between ground to the payload or OBC to the payload with the further packetization. Also, UART interface is provided if any payload require that. Those data interfaces can be interfaced with the spacecraft bus, again using PC104 stacking connector and also through auxiliary connectors. If needed, the OBC in the platform also can provide a PPS signal to synchronize the timing with the payload. For the data storage, the onboard computer can provide 30 GB storage in the SD card for the payload data. Also, the payload can store its own payload data in their memory in the payload subsystem, and then transmit the data to the ground station prior to the operation. For the RF interface, as I mentioned before, we have two subsystems, UHF, VHF, and S-band. The transmission of payload data shall pass through OBC, then to the S-band, and then later to the ground station to have control over the transmission of the payload data and the telecommand scheduled from the ground. Both subsystems have a full duplex transmission mode. For the mechanical interface, PHI platform is a 12U structure, also designed by Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center in the standard CubeSat size and volume. We are providing a 5U equivalent volume to host a payload through the United Nations program. The 5U can be divided to host up to 3 payloads. With a total of 5 kg mass. This is including the harness routing design of the payload with the other subsystems. So the mechanical structure can host a payload with a PCB in one new dimension. Also, it can host a customized payload that require a box or a bracket to be interfaced with directly with the mechanical frame. So we have here the location of the payload PCB at the top of the avionics stack. Also here it shows the height required for the payload to be placed in the stack. This is the mechanical ICD showing the dimension of the PCB with the location of the stacking connectors and holes. Here you can see the mechanical frame with the mounting holes to design the bracket needed between the mechanical frame and the mechanical box of the payload. For the thermal interface, the platform is providing temperature sensors and heaters, which can be designed and defined later after defining the operation of the satellite and the power budget. However, this can be provided as operational heater that can be controlled by the OBC, and the power can be supplied by the EPS subsystem. In case the payload has its own heaters or temperature sensor embedded within the payload box or board, this can be controlled internally by the payload subsystem. For the attitude control subsystem interface, we are providing ADCS as a standalone system with accuracy of 1 degree, and it can provide pointing modes of sun pointing, nadir pointing, and target tracking. And the hardware used with ADCS board, reaction wheel, magnetic torque rods, sun sensor, gyroscope, magnetometer, and GPS. For the ground station, we have 2 ground stations for UHF, VHF, and S-band located at Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. The mission will be controlled from Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center Mission Control Center by uplinking telecommand, TLEs, and schedule payload operations. And also the real-time telemetries will be downloaded and viewed by the payload team. And also whole orbit data can be shared with the payload team through a file to process their data and check the health of their payload. So the mission planning for the payloads can be discussed with MBRSC team before the operation phase starts. So I believe this is the major sections in PHI user guide. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mehta, for going through the platform user guide. We all know that this is a lot of information, but this is a great timing to ask Mehta directly about the PHI platform, but also if you have any other questions to Yunusa about the admin process, yeah, this is your time. So I've answered some of the questions already in the chat. Basically, to re-explain the PHI program, all the teams have to do is build their payload and bring it to MBRC. So the costs you need to develop the payload, test the payload, all of that you need to do by yourself. But basically, after you have delivered it to MBRC, the launch, the operation, the downlink of the information and all that will be done by MBRSC. So that is the responsibility that the teams will have to go through, and this is explained in the announcement of opportunity document. Wenbin, you're showing something, so would you like to explain something additionally? You're muted.
Sorry, as you already mentioned, it's written in the announcement of opportunity that, yes, so MBRC will develop a 12U platform and provide the launch and the ground station support. So the awardee will provide tested payload to MBRC, so ready for integration with the spacecraft, and participates with the MBRC in the flight model assembly, integration, and testing activities. Yes.
Thank you. And there are no financial support that will be given to the awardees by MBRC or UNUSA. So basically, anything related to the development testing, the awardees will need to find on their own. So that is what I meant earlier when I was explaining about the opportunity. I hope that is clear. If you have any questions, please write them down. I see one question from the audience about the OBC. It is asking about the language that is used in the code. Mehta, if I can address this question to you.
Yes, it's C language code in the OBC. However, if the payload is using a hardware coding by FPGA, this is okay as long as they are meeting the technical requirement of the data interface of CAN, SPI, or UART.
Thank you very much. I see another question about the countries. So in the eligibility criteria, we've provided a report, and it's not about spacefaring nations. Let's say it doesn't matter how many satellites you have, if you have a launcher or if you have a space agency or not. Basically, the eligibility criteria is depending on the ranking of the country, if you are ranked as a developing economy or economy in transition. So if your country, where your institution belongs to fits in those countries, basically you will be eligible. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question that's right in the chat there, but for us, it wouldn't really matter how many satellites, how many, what kind of space activities you're already doing. It's a matter of where your institution belongs. I think I've had that question earlier as well. So just please refer to the economics report that is in the announcement of opportunity document. Does anyone have any other questions? If not, I'm just going to keep talking and give you more time. But basically, you still have 5 months, and you are open to send us any emails asking about if you have any questions. We will address the technical questions to MBRC so we can address you. And if there's any administrative ones, Wenbin and I will reply to you accordingly. And everything is on the website. This is being recorded. I will try to edit and put it on the UNUSA website tomorrow so that you will have access not only to the presentations, but also to the recording so that you can share it with your colleagues, friends, teammates that would be interested in watching this webinar again. Does anyone have any questions? I know this was a lot of information for all of you, so no worries. We know that the application form is asking for a lot of information, but one advice that I have is a winning application it has a lot of information. They provide us with lots of information so that we can understand an image of what the team is intending to do. So in that sense, let's say if you have too many TBDs or if you don't have enough information, we can't really understand and we can't really test the feasibility of your project. So let me say the winning application form has a lot of pages and has a lot of information. I'm seeing some questions. Will all hosting opportunities only be as secondary payloads? Maybe Mehta, you can address this. So out of the 12U, I know that a bigger portion is from the MBRC side. So maybe you can explain how these payloads are seen in secondary or primary.
Yes, thank you for your question. Actually, until now, we didn't dedicate any primary payload for the mission. So we will be highly depending on the proposal received through a PHI round in UNOSA website. And if the payload is well designed, ready with TRL 6 or above, we can allocated as a primary payload. So this is highly depend on the novelty and complexity of the payload.
Thank you very much. I think that answers the question. I have one question about registration. I don't know what you mean. Which registration are you referring to? So if that person can elaborate a bit more. Going on to the next question about the email contacts, my colleague Wenbin maybe can put it up, but it's in the next slides actually. Going to the next one about having 2 or more developing countries. As Wenbin mentioned earlier, we are open to partnerships. We are happy to have any teams that are formed with multiple institutions, multiple countries. Yeah, SDG 17 is all about partnerships, so we are totally okay with that. Please just make sure that they are all eligible entities. So of course you can partner up with a company or maybe a university from a spacefaring nation, but they cannot be part of the team. They can be external partners. So they, the people in the team, in the applying organization must be all from eligible countries, eligible institutions. So please, if you have any doubts, reach out to us. But basically the team is formed with eligible people. And if you want to do partnerships with people who have more knowledge that are in a developed country, you put them as external partners and supporters. So yeah, we are open to all types of partnerships. The question was satellite registration according to the UN convention. So Mehta, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the PHI platform is going to be registered by UAE, correct?
Yes, it will be under UAE.
Perfect. So basically, in that sense, the countries, the teams who are providing the payload will need to provide information to Mehta, to MBRSC to help them with the registration. But as a whole, as an entity, you would not need to do any active registration. Yeah, Wenbin is showing it on the screen as well. So yeah, the awardees shall provide any necessary information for the registration purposes. Okay, I think I have answered the questions that are on the chat. If there's anything, yeah, please write it down now. I just also want to ask all of you to answer our questionnaire form before you leave. We would really like to hear your feedback on the webinars. And if you have any questions or follow-ups, you can also put them in the questionnaire form as well. Since I don't see any questions, maybe I can just give the floor once more to Mehta to give her final advice or tips on how to build a winning awardee application. If there's anything that you want to say to the people, to say to the potential applicants, yes, please.
Thank you, Hazuki, and thank you everyone for attending. I believe the application form is very detailed, well structured to provide all the information needed for us. So you have around 6 months to submit your proposal. Make sure that your idea is fully described, and if you want to provide extra effort, you are allowed to share your 3D design, your analysis, and maybe test results of EM model or any prototype you have that will clearly help us to see the readiness of your payload, and will give you extra point in even the evaluation and selection. I would say good luck to everyone, and please let us know if you have any question, and you can anytime send your questions to the UNOSA team, and we will be very happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Mehta. If Wenbin, you can go to the next slide. So yeah, I just want to close off the webinar by saying that at the moment, besides PHI, we have other opportunities open as well. The one in dot in the right side is the PNST program, which is a fellowship to study about satellite development in an institute in Japan. We will be opening that relatively soon, I hope, in the end of November or maybe early December. So I just want to emphasize again that we have all these different opportunities. And yeah, we're very super happy that you are all interested in PHI, and we wish you luck for filling out the application form. If you can go to the next slide, Wenbin, this is basically our email address. So if there's anything, please contact us, and we'll be happy to answer all of them. We know this was a lot of information, but we're just helping you try to formalize and realize your idea as well. So don't think we're mean. We're trying to help all of you. So with this, I don't see any more questions. So I'd like to thank MBRC, especially Mehta, for her kind participation and really detailed presentation. I'd like to thank my colleague Wenbin for his preparation as well. And of course, to all of you who joined us today, thank you so much for your interest. And we wish you good luck and hope to see a lot of applications from you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.